All right, bet. Yo, we back. Episode 8. You know what I'm saying? We just hit 100 subscribers.
Yes,
Shout out y'all. Like, comment, subscribe.
Wait, no.
Salute.
Nah, call out Buddy.
No, we talked about yo. You know what I'm saying? Whoever that was when we posted when we hit 100 and y'all unsubscribe, y'all turkey, man. We can't stand for that.
Yeah, but shout out, whoever came up.
All right, we back.
You know
it don't even matter for real.
Yeah. You lucky. If I hadn't already subscribed, I promise to God I would have. We would have just cleared it up. It's all shit.
Also, we didn't get the bottle like we said, bro. Next episode, we're back with the bottle.
Yeah, I actually just forgot it.
It wasn't sure though. We had to sit on that 100 for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Man, shout out. As y'all see, we have a guest, man. Shout out Malcolm McKnight. Yes, sir, man. Digital marketing guru right here from Atlanta. You got a lot to offer. Morehouse alum just like us. Thank you, man. Thank you for being here, being our first guest, man.
Bro, for real.
For sure. Man, so tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like just a little bit about your story. Like,
born and raised in College Park, South Fulton.
Okay, word.
Literally 20 minutes down the street from Sovereign Studios, south side of Sovereign Studios.
Yes, sir, DB.
I went to Our Lady of Mercy, and I also went to Westlake. So, like, I'm South Fulton, born and bred, South Side, born and bred. Went to Morehouse because one of my best friends, Leighton, was like, yo, we got to go to Morehouse. Leighton's older brothers and sister went to Morehouse and Spelman. So then he was like, bro, we got to go. I wanted to go to Tuskegee. I'm happy we went to Morehouse. Like, changed my life. Somewhere during this like time in Morehouse, I bumped into this guy named Snacks. Snacks told me, bro, come to the studio one time. Went to the studio. Ended up bumping into Amina Diop, who ends up being like Gucci Mane's manager, Thug's manager at the time. She now does Uzi Vert, Coi Leray, Sleazy World. Sleazy World. We about to go on tour with him, which is amazing.
Tough.
And then every model you could think of, from Buffy the Body to Rosa Acosta, like everybody. And she just was like, hey, like, I have a job for you. Like, if you want to come to my studio, if you want to come to my office, like, let's do this. Like, let's just come. And you'll be my intern for the semester. Did that shit. That ended up being, like, the rest of my college career. She took me to, like, every Rolling Loud, took me to every fucking concert you could think of, Gucci shows, everything, back and forth. My first, like, New York trips, like, as an adult was, like, with her. And then right around the time I started to graduate, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what the fuck's about to happen with me because shit is working, not working. So then, ironically enough, I ended up going to Dirty Love Bastard, which is still in the South Side, like right down the street on South Fulton. And they were like, bro, like, we'll give you a job. Like, just come fuck with us. Like, just come to the office every day and just, like, organize shit because we're so unorganized right now. So started doing that for a little while and then started to really, like, understand what digital marketing is, which is kind of like, you know, just putting artists on different platforms and also, like, telling digital strategy and how, like, different platforms create a story for the artist. So, like, for example, I wouldn't put Taylor Swift on Off the Porch, but I'd probably put, like, Boss Man D-Lo. Right? Like, just to understand type of things because it's like it doesn't really amplify their story. It doesn't really help them out. So took that job for like a year. COVID happened and I just like stayed in the house. And then I was, ironic enough, I was with Amina the whole time. So like Amina and I was just like talking about shit. She was teaching me shit. And then like Atlanta was still open. So like niggas was just doing whatever. So right around COVID, like the 1017, new 1017 started happening. So I met like Pooh and all them and Chant and everybody like that. And then I was like, okay, like, cool. Like, I like the Atlantic team. Like, if the Atlantic team ever fucks with me, like, I'll take a job. So then 2021 comes around, and they're like, hey, like, we need an assistant. Like, you want to fuck with us? And I was like, sure. Like, if it's a job, I'm going to take it. Took the job with, like, the intention of just being like, I'm going to stay here in Atlanta forever because I know Atlanta shit. March comes around, 2021, and they're like, hey, if you don't move up here by May, you're fired. And they sent like they sent it out like company wide, and everybody was like, what the fuck? So then I was like, all right, crazy.
I know the one like that too. Corporate America's crazy.
Yo,
damn.
what?
So you wake up and you're like, all right, how the fuck am I gonna get to New York? How the fuck is all my clothes gonna get to New York? Thank God I have family in New York. So they were like, yeah, come. And then I ended up working with this girl. Her name is Jade. Jade ends up taking a job at Capitol. Jade is from Brooklyn. She's like, yo, I have an apartment. If you want this apartment, you can take this apartment for the year. Just pay me. And we'll just figure the shit out. So I was like, easy. Let's do this right now. I don't give a fuck. So I took the apartment, stayed in New York for now going on 3 years. I was at Atlantic, and then out of nowhere, I get a random call from like one of my like coworkers or old coworkers at Alamo. And he calls me. He's like, yo, like there's a digital marketing role, like manager role here if you want it. And I was like, I don't necessarily know if I want that shit right now. I had just did No Cap. No Cap had just went Billboard, Heat Seekers for the first time. No Vaccine went gold. All the other shit, like just all his other albums started going platinum. So I was like, why the fuck would I leave? Like, I'm doing Little Skies now with somebody else. I'm helping out with Kalani, helping out with Kevin Gates, Thinking When My Dick had just came out. So I was like, bro, what the fuck are we leaving for? And then I start talking to them more, and I'm like, okay, like let's just see the scope of things. Like let me scope the scenery out. So I fuck around because like it makes more money. It just the job just made more money. So I was like, fuck it, like let's just do it. I have nothing to lose here. I call Amina, I call like a bunch of people, and I'm like, yo, like should I take this job like for real? And they're like, yo, if you don't take this job, you're stupid. You're stupid. Alamo-wise in hip hop is like a really now becoming like a centerpiece and like a pivotal name. So it's like you have to take this job just for like your resume. Fuck the rest. So took the job. That was like 3 years ago. Just January, I ended up leaving Alamo, like just openly because I was like, there's a lot more money to be made in other places besides just Alamo. But like working on like those last 2 Dirk albums with the team, working on the last 2 Rod Wave albums, both of them went, I think, Billboard #1. Working on artists like Legend Ye, Heen Beezy, who lives in LA. Who else do I really like just love? Infamous, who like has a song with Anti the Menace, like really, really born and raised in Atlanta. Like if you don't listen to Infamous, I definitely suggest you do. Just like working and learning how to build an artist changed me. And then it also showed me that like in the back end, because I think all of us went to Morehouse, but like just the concept of like, you're also telling black people's stories, even though you don't want to admit it or you might not want to, call it out. It's like you're telling black people's stories. So either you're going to tell it right or you're going to try and just get some money out of it. But like you got to pick on the other. Right. So I think that's where I am now. Now me and a few of my other friends, we have our own like digital agency now. And
plug yourself. Hold up. Plug yourself.
All right. So me and two of my friends. So ironically, the girl that I ended up taking the apartment from, Jade had an industry. It's called Culture Agency. Me and her are part of Culture Agency. So we do now like Signal, a little bit of Signal, some of the artists. We do Low Shimmy.
Okay.
We
that's
do.
Huge, actually.
We're trying to figure out everything with QC now, which is amazing. There's like a bunch of other acts. There's like 20 or 30 acts, which is crazy to be like a 4 or 5 people team and do 30 people. Mm-hmm. Just to put it in perspective, most labels only have 30 hip hop acts. Right. So the fact that you're doing 30 hip hop acts digitally is amazing. And then also still a part of the Diop agency, which is like this chain that I have on, which is Amina's last name, which is Amina Diop.
Big dog, she a killer.
Killer, like pivotal part of like hip hop as a whole where we are now. She does, of course, Gucci Thug, Pee Wee Longway, who I'm in love with Pee Wee Longway. In the newer age, we now do Coi Leray, Bandhunter Izzy. If you haven't listened to Bandhunter Izzy, please go play him.
Thanks.
An African artist by the name of Blackway, who's always in every. If you have a Madden for the last 5 years, if you have a 2K for the last 5 years, if you have a FIFA for the last 5 years, he's been on all 3, and not like just once. He's been on all 3 consistently.
Word.
And then lastly, Sleazy World Go, who just had Step 1, and now he's on tour with Offset. Like by the time this comes out, he's on tour with Offset. So like, if you get a chance to go to a show, please go to a show. Please come early. Please come support. And now I'm just vibing out, living in Atlanta for like the next maybe month, and then going back to New York and figuring everything out in New York because New York is crazy.
No, word. So let's dial back a little bit. So like, how did you even what made you even want to get into music in the first place? Like, where did that even come from?
Okay. So I love like the movie Brown Sugar. Brown Sugar asked a question in the beginning of the movie, when did you fall in love with hip hop? I think I fell in love with hip hop as a whole, collectively. Like the moment I think I did was like being in the back of my dad's like white Honda and him playing the Jay-Z Unplugged album consistently from school, and I was like, oh shit. But then somewhere in that long line of going from middle school to college, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a doctor. Everyone in my family, like, they're in medicine, straight up. Like, they're either a doctor, they're some type of PA, they're a nurse, they're RM, CM, whatever, like all that shit. So I thought I was gonna go to Morehouse, and I was like, I'm gonna do this shit. I'm gonna do medicine. Fuck it.
You like, Morehouse.
I'm gonna do biology.
This is the best thing I can do.
Medicine
right
just
here.
makes sense. Like,
I know your family was so proud of you.
Morehouse
bro.
breeds doctors. Like, this the key.
Man, I know his family was so proud of him.
And it's so crazy because I think so many people do that shit. Like, everyone's like, yeah, I'm finna do, like, fuck it. I took one biology class. I said, get me the fuck up out of here. Like, I don't even think I passed. It was like a D minus. Like, I was like, I gotta get out, bro.
Like, all right, it's enough.
So
right
then
there.
I was like, all right, I gotta do something else. So then, of course, me being the Morehouse nigga. So of course, just me being like a businessman or whatever. I was like, let's just do business. Fuck it. Like everybody else doing business.
Oh God,
I'm gonna do business shit.
The next best thing,
Like,
more
I'm gonna do business. So then, how did it work out? I just really needed an internship because everybody else in my class had like a higher GPA and was doing shit.
Right.
So I was like, fuck, I'm not finna just be in Atlanta not doing nothing, bro. They're gonna look at me like I'm a lame ass nigga. So I ended up talking to like a bunch of people and they're like, bro, like you kind of like fuck with this music shit, PR shit. Why don't you come to the studio? So at the time, the studio was like 12 studios, which I think is a different studio now.
Okay, shout out Dina.
So yeah, shout out to Dina, like another pivotal point
Shout
in
out
Atlanta
Dina
history,
Johnson.
Atlanta music history.
Bro.
And Ray Daniels too.
And Side, too.
Like it was so many people who was like in that little cusp of like just being there in the studio so many times that were just pouring into like us as interns. And it's like maybe 10 or 12 interns now who I know that are like just doing mad shit. Like Nia Priscilla, who's like now at Epic.
Word.
She's an A&R at Epic, like really big A&R at Epic now, like doing her big shit. So I said to say, I fucked up and I was like, all right, let's go to that shit. Let's do it. Thank God Aminu happened to just be in the studio one day and I was just like, bro, like I'll just stay here and just help y'all out for the day. If she wouldn't have came and said, bro, you need to get this music shit seriously, I probably would have just been doing some business shit. Because after school, I ended up getting a job at like Bank of America for like a little while. And I was like, oh, this shit sucks. Like, I gotta get out of here, bro. So it had to be music, but I had the job just to have the job. But like, I was like, it had to be music all, from the top. And then like now meeting all my friends or now knowing all my friends, they're like, yo, like you always loved music. Like that was your thing. So that's really how I started. And that's where it is now, to be honest.
And what were you doing like that people knew you were like into? Was it just like your love for music, listening to it, or like-
love for music? Then I was always working with the artists. They always saw me out with the artists. I can say it now comfortably. There was a time where like I didn't go to school for maybe like 3 months and I had somebody sign me in, just sign me in, bro. Just sign me. And I'm texting them, just sign me in. But I'm texting them from other places in the country. Like, cause I'm on tour with this nigga. I'm like, bro, I'm in Wisconsin. Can you just sign me in for today? Bro, I'm in Chicago. Can you just sign me in today? Bro, I'm in South Carolina today. So then by the time I got back to school, it was end of school. So I was like, I don't know shit. But I was like, let's just figure it out, bro. Maybe you might pass the class.
Yeah.
But I always was with people. Like I always was with the artists. I was on campus, but like anything that dealt with campus that didn't deal with like an artist, I wasn't there. Wasn't there. To a point to where I even took like a music business class at Morehouse. Like I was like, and that was one of the only.
Same.
I can say this now comfortably too. That was one of the only A's I got in school, like in college, easily. Just what it was.
That was with Henny and them.
Yep.
And Kennard.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the Kennard. Shout out to the Kennard.
Shout out to
bro.
Kennard.
Shout out to
Henny,
Kennard.
man.
Even though he's looking for producers every single day, like, and I'm not a producer. Shout out to him.
Oh God.
Facts. So how was that, like, even though, like, you said your whole family is doctors, like, you was clearly blazing your own trail, you know what I'm saying? So what was that conversation like, telling your family, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going into music. And for a lot of people, that's like, you know what I'm saying? That's foreign territory, especially for certain generations of parents.
That's one of the hardest conversations I think I've had with my parents. I think I got lucky because I have two parents who are trailblazers in themselves because they're from New York and they moved to Atlanta and they like have lived in Atlanta for now 30 years. Yeah. So they kind of feel like that trailblazing spirit. But I remember like right around 2021, I think we ate at like a Longhorns or some shit like that. We're just eating. It's family dinner. And my mom like basically is like, yo, I think you should go to grad school. And I'm like, I don't see a point in going to grad school. Like, what the fuck would I go to grad school for? For music? Like, I don't want to do music theory. And then going to music business for grad school is stupid because it's like, you need to learn the business in.
Yeah.
You have to learn it like hand to hand. You can't just think that like somebody in the class is going to tell you. Excuse me. So I ended up just telling her, like, I basically made a wager. Like, I was like, yo, like, if this shit doesn't happen by the end of 2021, and this is like February, if this doesn't happen by the end of 2021, I'll go to grad school. I'll apply to whatever grad school. I'll just shut the fuck up. Like, honestly, like, you got it, bro. Like, I'll let it rock for a year or two, whatever. So I got my first music label job in March. So I was like, oh, thank God. Like, so we didn't even have to do that. And I think my mom still talks about, like, MBA and stuff. And don't get me wrong, like, it's needed if you want one in music, but it's like, there's nothing that teaches you about the music business unless you're in the business.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the only secondary degree that really could help you in music is like what, a law degree for real.
Yeah, you can get a law degree, but then
facts.
you
The
could
law degree
also
I see, but like,
you could learn that shit too.
oh
Like,
God, you can read some contracts.
you could really start once you get enough. Like, if you have enough A&R friends, I think I got lucky because like Alamo's only a 30-person staff, so you have to know everybody.
Yeah.
Like, so some of the A&Rs would talk to me about like whatever they want me to talk about, and I'm like, all right, let's go down there, and I'll like watch how they like maybe do contracts, and I would just maybe have to sit there in the meetings with them, and then they might talk about the contract, and I'm like, okay, so this is what a split. Okay, so this is what a 360 is. Okay, so this is what we should be doing here. Okay, so this is how many albums you have to have. Like, it is a business loan, but it's like you learn it. You can learn it so quick. I won't say so quick, but you'll learn it by the time. And if you spend 2 years, 3 years with somebody, and they really get you down, like you'll learn it. And it's not the easiest at all because there's a lot of jargon and like lingo that only lawyers use. Mm-hmm. But once you get that shit together, like
Yeah, I've been
nothing.
thinking that too.
Yeah, it's easy.
If you feel like you did music like if you wanted to do it earlier, right? Like instead of like figuring that out with Amina and like all that other stuff, like what would you think you would have done earlier to prepare for that, if that makes sense? Like if you were in high school and you was like, yeah, I want to do music, but you don't know necessarily where to start. Like what would you even say? Like where would you feel like you would start knowing today?
That's a great
This
question.
is so funny because like me and one of my other best friends, Kiana, who I used to work with, she just spoke to a 16-year-old like group of class, like 30 guys. And let me see, like I think we were just talking about this. Like I feel like if you're the artist, you should think about like just creating music and learning how to really create, like learning what your sound is. That's what makes like superstars, and that's what makes stars, like they know their sound every single day. Mm-hmm. They may go up an octave, down an octave. They may go do this whatever rap album, Beyonce album, whatever, like you know what I'm saying, like country album, but they still know their sound. So I think that's the artist. If you're the business person, the savvier business person, be okay with learning like every department in the label. Like some departments are not for you. So like I think I got lucky because like digital marketing and marketing kind of go hand in hand. And like going to Morehouse, you have to learn how to like market yourself.
Absolutely.
But then you also got to learn how to market your friend, because your friend might be like, bro, like you need to do this, bro. You need to be doing that, and think about doing this and think about doing that. Like everybody at Morehouse has a hustle. Like we literally are watching, like I guess one of our like classmates, like he's in Urban Outfitters now. Like for shouts out to Zay for just like really marketing himself so well. Just ask me about my art. Wasn't a hard question. Easiest marketing tactic. Just ask me.
Right, on a piece of cardboard.
Just on a piece of cardboard.
Oh God, you
paper.
used to just walk around with that all the time.
It's
Hold it up.
an immediate like talking.
But people don't realize that's a digital marketing tool and a marketing tool.
Yeah.
Like just ask me about my art.
Yeah, fact.
The same way that people what is it? Do with the sign. Do that with the sign.
Yeah, I know
like,
you're talking about the
simple
white
things.
dude.
It's simple things. But I say if you're trying to figure out what department you want to be in. Some people are really good at streaming. Like some people know what streaming is. And that's just like getting people with the DSPs. Some people are good at legal. Some people are good at marketing. Some people are good at A&R. Not every person needs to be an A&R. Yes, we all do have unique music taste. Everyone has it. Like I like something that Gabe may not like. Like Gabe may like this. Like I may like Andre 3000's Flute album. You may not. Like you have eclectic taste. That's great. But it's like that does not mean you're an A&R, because there's a lot of other things that deal with like A&R shit that like we don't talk about. Same with digital marketing, but there's like 12 or 13 departments in a label. Even the biggest labels like have 12 to 13 departments. The smallest labels have like at least one person that does one thing. Mm-hmm. Know what you're good at and be okay with like cultivating that. I think I got lucky because like a lot of people, there's a lot of digital platforms in Atlanta that I was like, okay, cool, fuck it. Like I know these niggas. Like I'll just partner with these niggas and just like put you with these niggas.
Yeah, word. So we were talking about like things and stuff like that, about how you said every department isn't for everybody. Everybody shouldn't be an A&R necessarily just because you got good taste in music and so forth, so on. But I more so want to know now, like, what do you feel like are the key essential things that are also needed just to be successful in some sense in the music industry?
One is good music. One is always good music. That's like the pivotal part of it. Like you should be able to really make records. I think the biggest thing right now, a lot of people in the music industry just can't make a record. Like you just really can't. And it's okay. Like, and I'm not saying like a timeless record. I'm just saying like a record, like just something that's gonna go to the radios. Like we were just talking about Boss Man D-Lo, like the Get In With Me song. Like that's actually a record. Like that shit goes, it goes hard, and it can play like for the next maybe like 2 or 3 years, and you're like, okay, cool. It's not like all my life like a Dirk. It's not gonna be a timeless record. It's not gonna win a Grammy, but it's like it's cool. You can make a record, great. I also think there needs to be a level of transparency with the artist to where it's like, show me who you are. Like, social media is so vulnerable. You have to be able to build your social media presence and be okay with doing maybe not a gimmicky thing, but just be okay with learning who you are as like a personality and putting that on there. Like TikTok, anybody's winning now in TikTok. Like any type of TikTok you want to search, there's probably somebody who does it and they're probably making money off of it. So I think that. And then lastly, and I think this is just as pivotal as the other two, a really good team. A lot of artists, when you meet them, they don't have a good team. And you kind of watch how, like, because you don't have a good team, you know, it's like sports. You're not going to win a championship. You may get the scoring title. You may have a good year. But it's like, bro, you just barely made it to the playoffs. Like, I'm a Falcon fan, so it's like Michael Vick is amazing to me. Like, Michael Vick is top 10 amazing to me. But it's like, bro only made it to the playoffs like a few times because the team was actually really good.
I was just about to ask another question, but I want you to dive into, like, for the up-and-coming artists that are watching this show, like, tell us what makes a really great team, especially from that forefront.
Okay, so first off, a manager who I feel like is day-to-day with you. So your day-to-day manager. Mm-hmm. Day-to-day manager could be your best friend, could be your sister, could be your uncle, your aunt, because Rod Wave, ironic enough, is his uncle.
Shit, Rod 49 is his mom.
See? Oh, so it's like, but somebody who, like, you know, your day-to-day is actually your day-to-day. Like, the way we use Ride or Die, like, that should be your manager. Right. That's your day-to-day manager. Also, then I think a business manager who also conducts just your business. Like, their job is to make sure that any business platform is paying you correctly. Everybody is making sure that your name is correct in every sense. Any type of deals, they're making sure that money is like correct and all those things. Any type of business that you do with your entity, they're making sure that happens. And they're also conducting new business. And they're also being upfront with you. All these people have to be upfront with you and like honest. Mm-hmm. Then I also say a lawyer, which is not as hard as I think people think it is. There's so many music business lawyers who set up deals and broker deals for other labels or just broker deals with other artists because they probably do mad other people. So it's like that is a big part too. I think having those three entities really sets up a really good team. And then you watch how the rest of the team starts to build into, like, you might find a marketing manager that you really fuck with. And then you can start now building content around it. But if the artist itself if the artist knows how to make content, then it's like you don't really need it. You can just also have it. Yeah. But those three pillars really kind of set up a team, including the self. And then you can start going on and going forward.
See, that's free game for y'all, man. Y'all need to go home, figure out who's the best business savvy in the family. You know what I'm saying? Figure out how to push yourself online.
But I also say, like, and I just talked to somebody about this the other day. You don't need a manager until what you're doing is unmanageable. So, like, don't think you need a manager because you just have made 10 songs or because you now have a few thousand followers on Spotify. Like, business isn't coming in. You don't need a manager. Mm-hmm. You need a manager when it's like, okay, now we have to start figuring things out because, like, we're actually doing business. Like, I need somebody to help me get accountable. Mm-hmm. That's really what a day-to-day is. A day-to-day keeps you accountable. And then the business manager just makes sure the business is good.
That's a great point.
So what would you say then, like, so we talked about the essential things needed to be successful in music for an artist, but what do you feel like are some of the essential tools needed for somebody that's looking to be an exec?
Like grit, determination.
I would say, I would definitely. Okay, so first off, I think on like the plain sense, you should be able to like read and write. Like, I always say that because you'd be surprised how many times people cannot like just formulate an email and like know that culture and understand how to like communicate. Which is like a pivotal thing because like that's how communication happens in the music industry. We would love to say it happens on text, and like in hip hop it does like a little bit of more texting. But like with these labels, like there's emails, just straight email threads, like just straight communication through emails.
Multiple parties, assistants,
like all that stuff,
and all that.
Like, do not think that it's just gonna be through text messages. Like, it needs to be an email chain.
Still a level of professional.
It's like it's still a business at the end of the day. I think we always have fun and we get to go to these parties and we make music, but it's like, bro, this is a business. This is the music business.
Facts. So I was like, if you look back at like movies like Crush Groove and shit like that talk about like the birth of Def Jam and like, or like even Brown Sugar, when you look at like how they show hip hop in the media or like R&B and just the music industry, a lot of people think it's just like a lot of club nights and concerts and everything in between, which it is. But they don't understand that it's actual like levels of professionalism that comes in between that stuff, or that to be honest, that like even when you are going to those concerts or club nights, that still work.
That still work.
You're not out here just like getting like lit and fucked up and shit every time. You know what I'm saying? And that everything, even though it might look like, because you know what I'm saying, you might record it, put it on your gram one day, like, yeah, this is what I'm doing for work today. But it's like outside of that, they might be like, they're looking at you like you having a great old time.
Facts.
But it's like, nah.
I mean, even with the live shows, like I'm in love with going to live shows. Like the Black Circuit, like I go to all these Live Nation shows, like Rolling Louds, Roots, Music Midtown. Even though I'm backstage having fun with my friends and we might take a drink, we're still we're still with these people. Like I think last time me and my friend was with we were at Music Midtown, the person we're hanging out with the whole time, she's head of R&B at Spotify. So like we're talking to her as we're, getting lit, but we're also like, yo, like I have an R&B artist. Like I would love to be on this platform. Like it's nice to know you now face to face. It's not like we're just chatting it up. You don't like you're gonna remember me later. Like I wanted to get your email or maybe your phone number. Like this is still a business.
Yeah.
Always. Even though it may look like we're just chilling and I get to go to a free trip to LA or I get to go to a trip to New York, it's still business, bro. I still have to go to the office. I still got to get this shit together. I still have to send these emails. I still have to go to this party that I don't maybe want to go to meet this other artist, to make sure that like they sign to our label, or to make sure that like, why is the manager not responding? Is he just going to be at this like party and not like listen to me? What's up? Like there's so many other things that I think that we don't think about, that we always overlook, because like y'all get to see a lot of us have fun on Instagram, which it is fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I think there's just so much more business behind it that it's like you have like maybe like 5% fun, 95% business. But that 5% fun is like, wow, like I got to see this artist that I wanted to see for years. Like last year, Music Midtown, I got to see Janet Jackson. I've always wanted to see Janet Jackson. I was like, bro, I got to see Janet Jackson like before I die. So that 5% of fun was worth the whole 95% of me walking around with this playlister, talking to her the whole night, having fun with my other friend who also like works in music, who does brand partnerships to make sure they can get together, then making sure that like this brand is like happy with our artist who's backstage, making sure the artist backstage is happy because they could just leave. Like that has happened to me so many times, where artists would just wake up one morning, come to the show, chill with you all day in the trailer, and it's 8:00 set time. By 7:50, they're already gone. They didn't even come to the show. They just left. Didn't perform. Because we didn't do the business right. We didn't make sure that they're okay. They're the commodity, like they're the product. So it's always business, even though it may look like we're having fun.
A lot of the times we talk about networking on this podcast, but what are some ways that you go about keeping those connections of the people that you meet at these events?
I love Instagram. I'm really big on Instagram. One, I always say network across. Morehouse always taught me to network across. Like Spelman too, like, because I took classes at both sides. So like you realize, and Spelman women do it even way better than like, we do it pretty well, but like they do it so well. You network across. You network across completely. So like there's sometimes where you might meet a big fish, or it's like somebody who's like a really big exec and you're like, oh snap. Make sure if you meet them, you study them. Like when I met Amina, I knew who Amina was. I never was sitting there ever confused on who Amina was. When I met Ray Daniels for the first time, I knew who Ray Daniels was. When I met Mike Will for the first time, I'll honestly tell you, that's probably the only person I didn't know who he was, because everyone just called him Mike. So I was like, who the fuck is Mike? And I didn't know. And I didn't put it together. And I also did not know Mike Will is like 6'6", 6'8". Like he's huge. So I'm hanging out with him all day, because ironic enough, the person I met at this intern dinner was Ebony Ward, who's Future's manager, Flo Millie, Gunna. She's so crazy. And now she has 11 & Co. So shouts out to her. I'm hanging out with her because she's doing this like Femme Forward event. I'm chilling with this guy back in the studio booth, and his manager, his day-to-day manager, and he's like, yeah, just call me Mike. Chilling with him the whole time, bro. We're just vibing out, just chilling. I don't realize this is Mike Will made it until we go to Eardrummer Studio like the next day. He tells me, come to the studio, bro, like the next day. And it's his studio, and he's just chilling, having the time. And it's like, yeah, you know Mike Will made it? I'm like, Mike? And I'm like, oh shit! Like,
so you gotta say the year of this time, because I'm like, man,
this is
the compound. He had a compound.
This is when it was, that big, right on William Street, the William. On there. Is it still called the William, or is it not that anymore?
It's by the apartment complex.
Yeah.
It's by the Gables or something.
Yeah. It's on the backside of the Gables. But the crazy part about it is that like, this is right around the time when the apartment complex was being built, because like that for a long time that was just like an event space. Like I think it still is, but it's like
they threw a party there.
Yeah, they do mad parties.
Yeah,
there.
6 degrees be killing it.
Yeah. So I always say like, when you meet people, study them first when it's big execs. Like when I met Ebony Ward at a intern dinner that Barry from
since the 80s
had.
Barry Hefner,
he used to have one every year. like a really big one. And then after COVID, he stopped. Like you would come to this really big dinner and the interns would meet the execs, which is like a way that you would like network. You would never see these people out in the space. So you might as well meet them, now.
That's tough.
So you might meet, they partner you up with somebody, but let's say somebody else likes you, like you might talk to them too. So I got partnered up with somebody else, with another guy, and he's really cool because he ends up being like now head of like spirits for, I think, Bacardi or one of those bigger premium liquors. But ironic enough, the person that really wanted to talk to me and I really wanted to talk to was Ebony, because I was like, bro, you do Future, bro, you do. At this point, Gunna was kind of coming up, so I'm like, you do Gunna too, and it's like you're just really, really cool. Also, side note, I should always say that like all of my mentors up to this point have been women. I don't think I've had a male mentor, and that doesn't shoot down males. Like men are cool, but like just black women in this industry really work their ass off.
Facts.
And it's Women's Month, so they deserve it. Like they deserve every bit of flowers they get. But Ebony was just really cool. She was like, yo, like please come. Like if you need some help, it was so nice meeting you. If you need anything, call me, text me, DM me. Cool. Follows me on Instagram. A few months go by, I end up helping her out, like, when Future does a few home shows in Atlanta, which is really dope, just to help her, like just to be a part of like that space, because this is right around the time after Hendrix and Future. The next album that comes out is the I want to say it's the Purple album. Not Inside, I think it's like right around Inside the
one would
Matrix.
Never Stop on it?
Yeah.
Yo.
So right around that time, it had
That's
just
a good
come out.
year.
It had just come out. So I was like, okay, like cool. I'll help you however I can. Like I don't care. Like I just wanted to work at this point, because this was like I was still like I just got done with school. So I said to say like that was a really big moment for me, because it's like, that was a networking way where I was just DMing her, texting her. Cool. If it's somebody that's like across from you, like a Gabe, like me and Gabe know each other like through text. Like I made sure I got his number. Like he made sure he got mine. Even with Amir, we know Amir. Who else is somebody that's really big? China. Like there's so many people that like went to school with us that it's like, let me make sure I keep a cord of you. So like me and China talk maybe once every 2 months. Anytime I'm in LA, I call China. Just to talk to her, just to go have fun with her, just to eat with her. Same with some of the other people who like at Epic, like Shelly, and even some of the people who like work at Sony or in LA, like Gabby now. Like I make sure that I keep a hold of them and like talk to them every time. And you have to be able to be personable, like be approachable, like be okay with talking to somebody, and also be okay with like doing the same thing for digital partners. I have to do that every day. So like the Say Cheeses of the world, the Dirty Gloves, the Off the Porches, the From the Blocks. I'm keeping a cord of them. Like I'm like, hey, like what's up? How are you today? Like, because I might need a favor eventually.
Down the road,
but then also importantly, it's like you might give me a different price than you might give somebody else. Right. So and it's because you know me, because I keep a check of you. So I always say do that, but be okay with doing it just through text, just through Instagram. Like take a minute of your day and do that, rather than just trying to be like, I need to meet these big people who are going to push me up. People are going to push you up, but people right across from you. Always. Never fails.
What you say for the people that like in those instances of like networking where they like for instance, I'll give you an example, like from Philly, like for myself, like when I first came to Morehouse, like networking was kind of difficult for me in that instance, because like niggas would look at it as like dick eating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what do you say for those people that like, or like explain the thin line between where it is, you know what I'm saying, networking and dick eating, or and if it's not in any capacity, like how do you know what I'm saying, like how do you talk to people that can't get that out of their heads?
So I think there are some people who are like, it's so funny because dick eating to me is like opportunist, but like same concept, but it's like everybody has like so many words for it, right? But I just think about it like, the people who are actually hungry and like really trying to be here. Yeah. And what I love is that like after a certain point of time, because Gabe could attest to this too, after a certain point of time, like the masses of people who all wanted to be in the music industry just went down from like 200-300 to like 30. They're from like 30 and went down to like 10. Yeah. And then the 10 people just knew each other. So like people in my class, like me and Nia, Priscilla, and I'm gonna keep shouting her out because she's at Epic now. And Mon was since the 80s. Now he's at Epic too.
Mon going crazy.
Facts.
We all went to school. Like we all kind of went to school together, or we're all like the same kind of class years, either from Atlanta or just from the South or just from Spellhouse. So it's like we watched a lot of people go from these intern dinners that we had to now being like, oh, well, it's getting kind of hard. Oh, well, I want to do something else. Oh, and I'm like, okay, so you don't want to really be here. Cool. The people who really want to be here are going to show you every single day. Every single day. They're going to work their ass off every single day. I Ironically enough, one of the people who always says like something that's really pivotal to me is Bearline. Bearline always says that she's always like, you got to make sure that I come in here every day like I'm an intern. I work like I'm an intern. And it's the same thing. Like you have to work like Biggie said, you have to work like this is your first day every single day. Yeah. Anybody who's there doing that, they're happy to be here. Like, for example, whenever Amina needs something from me, like I'm going to do it. Whether I'm in the same state, whether I'm somewhere else, whether she needs me to go on road and go on tour with somebody, whether she just needs to pick up her kids, like I'm going to do it because it's like, bro, I'm here to work every single day. Yeah. I'm here to show up every single day. And you got to be in that same mindset every single day because I think these people who are big execs, the ones who are winning are the same way. They want to eat every single day. Your food is not my food, but I'm going to eat my food, all my food.
And I'm gonna get some too.
And I'm gonna get some too.
And if you leave some
too, so you better hope that it's not yours. Because if it is yours, that's your fault, not mine.
How long did it take you from when you said you first like were interested in the music industry to actually like getting those regular checks from like a label? Because you know a lot of times we intern for free or like
facts.
It's a lot of favors that come in this industry too.
Maybe let's see. If I started sophomore year, it might have taken me like 4 or 5, maybe like 5 years. I'll say 5 good years.
5 years.
It really probably was gonna be 4 because of COVID, but COVID just like shut down everything.
Man.
But I also love the way how COVID shut down things because it's like now you have to like be way more vulnerable. Now you have to be able to do digital very well, social platforms very well. Mm-hmm. So you like there's another level that you had to accept that COVID did. But it took me about 4 or 5, and I'll say consistent, like to where it was like every 2 weeks. There was sometimes where there was one-offs, and there was some one-offs that I was like, oh, I'm good for the next few months. But it's like you can't be looking for those one-offs. You really got to be looking for the 2-week or the monthly check that comes in. Mm-hmm. Like I think now I'm blessed to like work with Jade and have this agency and watch how the agency now is like every month, like these labels are paying the retainer. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay, like that's fire. So to go from, you know, maybe getting a stipend every quarter from a label or every 2 quarters to now being, you know, fully employed by a label, it is a night and day type of thing, but it's like a beautiful thing because you appreciate it way more. Yes. Anybody who came from like there's some people that I went to school with or I work with who like went to Michigan, USC, NYU. They came from schools that did a music business program and they just go to a label. So they don't really appreciate what this could be for them.
Yeah.
At all. Some of them do. Some of the people who look like us do appreciate it every single day. But the people who like don't suddenly look like us, they're like, bro, like it was supposed to happen like this. I was supposed to do these 4 years, and then I get this job, and I'm an assistant. And you realize that like that's why the assistant ratio turnover rate is like so fast and so high because it's like these people don't really want to be here. They just like think this shit is cool.
Mm-hmm. The people who really want to be here, bro, that come with it.
They appreciate it. Like I appreciate every check that every label gave to me because I was like I really could be working at Bank of America. Yeah. Or even crazier, I could be like some of the niggas I know in my mama's house, just chilling, not doing nothing. And you see what that is like. So it took me about 4 or 5 years, but it's like you appreciate all 4 or 5.
I think this is a great segue into this question I got for you. So, I mean, can you name me one project or task that had you in the industry thinking, this low-key some bullshit, but I'm still gonna do it, man. This is it. How locked in am I? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Got you thinking Bank of America,
This is crazy because I was just talking to one of my old coworkers about this. So at Atlantic, I was the digital assistant. I was the assistant for the whole department. Mm-hmm. So there was there another assistant? There was one other assistant, but she worked for a specific person. So like her role was like that. Mine was just like anybody. So like if you just told me to do a task, I would have just had to do it.
Yeah. Right.
I also had like a manager at the time who kind of was like phasing out of being here. And he didn't want to really openly say it, but he kind of was like, just know when the time comes, I'm out.
Oh God.
So I was so a lot of his like admin work, he was like, bro, just do the admin work for me. Like I might not be here today, do the admin work for me. I might be here today, do the admin work for me. So I think the thing I hated the most, and I still kind of don't like it, but I'm getting over it, was like just invoicing. Making sure this invoice gets paid out. Because sometimes it's so tedious.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that, because I feel like what we think it is like, okay, like, just send the invoice and then I go ahead and pay you out. Boom. No, you send the invoice, then I got to make an invoice for this invoice, and I got to put it through processing. Then I got to hope that processing approves it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, then accounts payable got to get in.
Then they tell me they approved it. Then they get paid net 30, net 60.
Man, and that's some bullshit right there.
I mean, in some situations, it could be like 5 to 7 days, depending on which label.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, net 30, net 60. So then having to go back and tell these people, hey, you're going to get paid. I promise you're going to get paid. And you can't show them the email saying they're going to get paid. You just have to be like, I know you're going to get paid,
coming,
bro.
brother.
It's coming, bro.
30 days.
That
60
process
days.
itself was like so tedious to a point to where like there were some days where like that is just the job. Like you're not even doing anything else. You're not even doing any work digitally. You're just doing invoicing. And I was like, bro, nah, I can't be doing this.
No, I get that. So what you really saying is when artists and all them was going off on Instagram Live saying they ain't been paid, they was talking about my man Malcolm A.
Some of them could have been talking about me because like I definitely was taking my time with invoicing. Won't even act like that. Some of them could have just been in bad situations. So it could have went left or right.
So where do you see like digital marketing going in like the next 5 to 10 years with like the development of like AI and new technologies and stuff like that? How do you see those like? How do you see that shifting? And then like, not only how do you see it shifting, but how would you suggest somebody get on it earlier if it's an artist and they're like, all right, I'm trying to be, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to have great, you know what I'm saying, great success in the next 5 to 10 years or shoot the next 5 years, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Facts. Okay, so there's a lot of ways. AI is one amazing. We haven't really thought about AI in the way that we should. So one thing that throws me off, like maybe like 5 years ago, 5 or 7 years ago, there was a really big controversial thing where like in LA they did a hologram of Tupac.
Yeah, I seen that.
And a lot of people don't realize that that's also like AI itself. Like that whole concept of itself, even though it's a hologram, it's still AI. So there's that way too where it's like, wow, maybe you could be in multiple places doing multiple things. Easy. 2, a lot of people don't realize that this chat box that we use or whatever, Grammarly, there's a tab and it says write a song. So you could sit there and maybe put your feelings into this and they might be able to write you a song that might be better than whatever song you might write, which is basically having what now an AI ghostwriter. Then I think about AI. We use AI always too, like when we do voice modulation with TikTok. And you might realize that, wow, like sometimes this also works better. Like I have a artist, his name is Ben Hunter Izzy. Izzy's hilarious, and he's so funny, but like he realizes that like a lot of his TikToks that go viral that don't deal with like him rapping or him with his baby mother are the voice modulations, which is also AI. And then now I'm in love with, which is kind of weird, I'm in love with these like Apple headphones or Apple
The
Mod
Vision
things
Pro,
that just go around you. I love them for like maybe if you're at home and like imagine like you seeing a Travis Scott concert right in front of you.
I thought the same fucking thing.
Right, cool. And they've kind of like played with it a little bit when you go to
Basketball games. They
that.
got the basketball
But then
games in
also
there.
if you ever played Fortnite,
Yeah.
there was a Travis Scott night.
Yeah. Concerts,
So,
how they
so imagine
implement
that,
them.
but imagine instead of you controller, you're actually seeing Travis Scott like this.
Yeah.
man,
That's where it goes.
Front
That's
row.
where it's gonna go. But I do think that there's gonna be definitely a big thing like in the next 5 years where like Live Nation or one of these venues, one of these like event venues is gonna be
AEG.
like, they're just gonna be like, bro, like either we fuck with it a lot or we just don't fuck with it, and we're gonna tell y'all why. So you have to be able to watch that and watch how that goes to, because all these things, what a lot of people don't know is that all these things end up going to like Washington and then they have to be bills.
Yeah.
So that way they can decide like, what is the price? What are we actually doing? Is this actually constitutional? All that stuff.
That make me think of that new Live Nation article that came out about like ticket resale surges that they left out their whole involvement in, but
Facts.
they blamed it on
And they blame it on,
and
thank
shit.
you.
word.
So I think that's where AI is going to go next. On a digital side, I love it because like it's so funny watching like Twitter remake these like pictures, these AI pictures, and some of these guys like thirst trapping up, like being in love with these like women. But I also think about it like, what if AI could also be the way that we're now creating cover art, which is an easier way, because I think that's one of the hardest things to find. Like if you really don't know, it's one of the hardest things to find in the industry right now. It's like, bro, just a really good graphic designer.
That's original too.
That's original.
That's original.
Then I think we always forget that AI can sometimes deal with like game mods and stuff like that. So if you work for one of the bigger labels that isn't a hip hop label, a lot of times they have like the pop side, the rock side, they do AI with like games and stuff. So like you might play a game and then you play the game and then the game gives you a pre-save link. Us as hip hop people, we kind of just don't want to do that because we're like, bro, like I just want the pre-save. Like we're to the point, which I appreciate. But those ways AI has already been integrated in like to digital. I don't think that we always think about it, but it's easily there. I would like to see a lot of people probably start using chat boxes more and just being like, wow, like maybe change how you write, change your wording. Like I love trap music, but like we can't be using the same words every single time.
Yeah.
We can't, right? Like we can't. Not everything got to be scraping the pot. Not everything got to be whipping it. Not everything got to be something like that. It doesn't have to
Curry. The 30 and
Slide.
Curry.
30 and Curry.
Yeah.
Like, I think the reason we love Drake so much is because it's like he'll pull any type of word out of anything. You're like, bro, what the fuck? Like, so imagine if you could do that the same way through probably putting in some Drake lyrics and then making your own song.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I think one of the biggest things that came out, like, last year was the Weekend Drake song that was an AI.
That fake song. Yeah.
And
That caused the
it makes
uproar.
me wonder how people can, like, create other songs by that, but then also, like, maybe create it for yourself rather than just for another artist, because then that also brings in the facts of like royalties and contracts in place and ownership and likeness, like all those other things that you don't think about as artists that the labels think about. Because that was a really big thing. Like I don't think a lot of people know.
caused
Like,
the uproar, for
UMG
sure.
UMG had a really big issue, and they were like, bro, like cease and desist.
Yeah.
So imagine if you did that for your own voice and you made your own. Like Four Bats is a kind of a reason, even though he uses a little, I guess, auto-tune.
Yeah.
People could do that for Four Bats too, or Four Bats might do it for himself and be like, let me put my 2 songs in here, make my next song.
Yeah.
And that next song might be a hit. And it's like, okay, well, I made it technically because I did put it in the chat box. And so there's so many ways.
How
So
do
what
you feel? How do you feel about the? Have you seen what like Instagram and Meta's doing with like the likeliness AI chat boxes? So like, you can go talk to Kim Kardashian or Lil Yachty. How do you feel about that on digital marketing?
I think it's cool if you have like a really big platform. So like the Kims, or even we could say the big rappers like Dirk, Baby,
Cardi B.
Cardi B is probably going to be like one of the biggest ones. Same with Snoop. Snoop is doing it now too with Apple when you do the GPSs.
Yeah.
So like if you drive and it's like Snoop's voice instead of
Swear they got that on there.
yeah,
now.
instead of what's the name? Instead of Siri.
Yeah.
So there's small ways that people do that. I love it if you really want to interact with like your fans. Some people like some artists don't truly understand interaction, like fan interaction, the way they should. So another way of helping that out would definitely be a benefit. I think one of the ways we do it now is we make y'all text-free numbers, and then those are sent out your alerts. I'm one of those people that's behind the text-free numbers, and I love it because like I've watched some people's text-free numbers go from like 1 number to like 6,000 people like just texting back and forth. And just me sending auto alerts or me saying, hey, the tour is up. Like I do it for now. Like a brand I love is like Mythland. Mythland does it very well. Like they send me a text every week. But those type of interactions are dope. It's just if the artist is big enough and the platform is big enough. If it's not, then it's like you still need to build your platform.
So what do you say for like those people that like? All right, so like I heard you talked about Four Bats, right? And a lot of people claim like he's like an industry plant if you don't pay attention. You know what I'm saying? So like people are complaining about industry plants, but at the same time arguing against those people like signing artists for clout versus numbers.
Yeah.
So like, what do you talk about in that argument of people like those artists that are actually developing from the ground up? Because like, I mean, we know people that work with Four Bats and know to see like that how it actually grew from
Facts.
that fast.
Facts.
But
But
on
he's
the
not
other,
a plant.
Yeah, so
Never.
we know he's not a plant.
Really?
But a lot of like the public might look at it and be like, man, like where the fuck did this nigga come from? Now all of a sudden he got 3 songs out. Now he got a song with Drake.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And that's that's the development of artists too at the same time.
No facts.
So it's like, what do you say to that argument? You know what I'm saying? Industry plant versus clout. Or
okay, so
from the ground up versus clout.
It is interesting because I do think anybody who's like, okay, we always talk about artist development and we always say that like it's just a dead type of dead horse. I don't believe that at all because it's like social media has you like kind of now building your artistry. Like you realize that like the better artists or the better upcoming artists kind of get the looks and the views they deserve. Sometimes you might get lucky. You might just have like one song that just goes like viral.
Right.
That's great. But then now you kind of think, okay, what's next? So there is no real, I mean, we would love to say there's an industry plant, but I don't really know anybody who would be an industry plant because it's like I've watched all them grow. Plus, I also think that there's a level of us working in the industry to where it's like we always pull the curtain back. The curtain's always pulled back for us.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever as it seems. And I don't want to say I hate that, but it's like that's how you have to think about it. I always think about it like that. Like with socials, like anytime I see a big artist on every platform, I'm like, they paid for that. It's cool they paid for
Facts.
it.
Every single
It's
time. Every single time.
It's okay that they paid for it because that lets you know like they want to build and share awareness of it because that's how you do it. But it's like that doesn't make them an industry plan. It just means like, bro, they have a budget to do so.
Right.
Simple. But I think about it when it deals with like industry plans, there really aren't any because it's like, bro, you have to build, and any artist that isn't trying to build their artistry ends up falling on the wayside.
Yeah.
They may have a song for the year and we love them for the year or for that year and then it's done. Like I love who's the artist I really love? Me coming out, first year of school was like Fetty Wap, Trap Queen, and he had like 3 hits out the gate. Boom, boom, boom. And then you kind of just like, damn, what the fuck happened next? And it's like, damn, if you're not trying to build your artistry, it doesn't matter if you were like fast or whatever. Like, bro, by the time you get to a certain point, you already hit the peak. Now, you would love an artist to not hit the peak until like year 10 or year 12, like a Dirk.
Right.
Like Dirk is just not at the peak, and we're like, oh, the music is really
Dirk
good.
has had like 3 careers too.
Like like short hair Dirk, little twist
Fade
Dirk,
Dirk.
fade Dirk, like baby mama this baby mom, like you've seen it all. You've seen it all.
Days Loaf.
And I think
That
that's
was
the
the
best
era.
part. You have to be able to reinvent yourself as an art. Like us as execs, future execs, us as artists, people in the industry who want to be in the industry, you have to be able to reinvent yourself every single day. Jay-Z shows me that every single day. Because now we love Jay-Z the dad.
Yeah.
Right.
10 years ago, we loved Jay-Z the businessman. A few years ago, we loved Jay-Z the rapper.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between that, we loved Jay-Z the hustler who did Rockefeller
Oh, God.
and Rockaware. Like, you love the fact that people can reinvent themselves. Even though he's a little controversial right now, P. Diddy literally reinvent themselves with his name itself. Like,
No, facts.
my
That
man went
can
from
get a lot of
Puff, P. Diddy,
Sean Combs.
Love. Like, and you're watching how that changes, and he's redoing himself. Drake does the
Puffy.
same thing too.
Yeah.
Drake has a Caribbean album. Then he was Sad Boy first. Now he's now he's doing
Lover Boy
now he's
and
certified
all
lover boy.
kinds
Now
of
he's
stuff.
doing
Now he ain't got
music.
no love for the
Dogs.
women. Now he ain't got
Now
no.
he got no. Now it's for my
Honestly,
dogs.
Yeah.
Like, you watch how you reinvent yourself, and that's like artist development in itself, and that's how you build a career.
Yeah. Where
You cannot just stay the same person and just like think that this is gonna work out. That's why a lot of trap artists aren't kind of winning the way they want to win, because it's like you're just making the same song part 3, part 4, part
Yeah.
5. Like, I think a lot of people are. I love Lil Baby, so a lot of people are like really mad at Lil Baby right now because they think that last album was just like, this is just one of the mixtapes, bro. I need better songs, and they're right because the first album was really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Purple album was so like,
Yeah.
But so now to see this other album, you're like, bro. Whereas like with Future, every album is a different Future.
Yeah, man.
Every album is a different Future, bro. Like, I don't even like this man went from Gone to the Moon.
Yeah,
Like,
facts.
Like, I don't think people remember that. Like, Gone to the Moon,
So
like
I'll wait for you.
Deeper Than the Ocean. Like that's the Future I got reintroduced to. Then Turn on the Lights.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's when people figured out, okay, LA Future, cool. Then you keep going. Now you got Future Hendrix. And then you realize that that there's 2 different people.
Yeah.
To where a point where you make 2 different albums.
Yeah.
And they sound completely different.
Both hits.
These are 2 albums that could have came out 2 years and 2 years after each other, and you still would have been cool with.
You got mixtape run Future.
And what
man.
he dropped them a week after.
Yeah.
And they both
And
went
they both
crazy.
went number one. And they both went
crazy.
number one in different times.
my freshman year of college.
So you watch how like a real artist and monster feature. I had monster features. I had all the mixtapes in my like sophomore year.
56 nights.
Like all of them came out my sophomore year. So I was like, bro, this man is ridiculous. So to have all that, you realize that like you have to reinvent yourself, and that's artist development in itself. And it also comes with like, of course, life changing and growing up and realizing that like we not in the trap no more. Like now we're rich. Now we're doing this. Now we can do that. Now we can. Let me tell you what it's like to live in Dubai. Let me tell you what it's like to live here. Let me tell you what it's like to live in LA. Let me tell you what it's like to have a condo downtown. Like all that stuff that you love to hear. But you watch how that develops too. That's really what artist development really is. You would love to say artist development is like, I found somebody in the church, and then now I make her,
No,
and
found
now
Whitney
she does like
Houston.
R&B music, and now we love it. And it's like that's artist development in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Now artist development is how is your social interaction? How are you engaging with your fans? How are you touring? How are you doing shows? Like, are you even trying to do shows? Then how is your music? Is your music getting better every time, or are you just making the same song 3 or 4 times? Like, I love Boss Man D-Lo so much, but I'm now starting to realize that like some of these songs might be like, is it Getting With Me Part 2? Is this Getting With Me Part 3?
That's how they feel to me.
And they hard though.
Yeah, they hard.
But is it Getting With Me Part 2? Is it Getting With Me Part 3?
Yeah.
And it's like until the masses start to call it out, then it becomes like a flag. But right now, I'm a like pot scraper. I'm a like
Yeah.
Getting With Me.
What
Finesse,
about,
all that.
Sexy
I'm like
Red,
finesse.
though? Because I feel like
she's interesting too because I love her because a year before Sexy Red, you have Glorilla. Glorilla kind of opens up the lane.
Yup.
Just to let you know that like ratchet music is back. Southern ratchet music from women is back. Now the person who is like just the archetype of it is Sexy Red. Easily the archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the curator or the creator of it Glorilla or not? I don't even say the curator is Glorilla because it really is like some of the women who were in 3-6 Mafia and Trina.
Facts.
Like all those sexy women who were really doing it. But the fact that like Sexy Red is not talking about like she talks about scamming men sometimes, but like she really talking about just being ratchet.
Yeah, she don't have the bars that Glorilla do.
Yeah, like
Glorilla
it's not
come through like a nigga.
And you appreciate the fact that it's not like that's the best thing about it. She's not really trying to like rap her ass off. Yeah. Sometimes I'm not trying to rap my ass off. Like I love Ice Spice because and me and a lot of my New York friends get into this every day. I like Ice Spice because she's just trying to like just say bars. It's not about me rapping my ass off. She will never out rap Lola Brooke or any of these other girls. She won't. That's why she wasn't on the Mulatto thing. She won't even out rap Lotto. And Lotto was like out rapping a lot of women, a lot of men too.
Oh yeah, Mulatto out rapping a lot of
men.
She's been crafting.
Lotto's out rapping a lot of men and women straight. Just straight bars.
Yeah.
Like not even to put me in the class. Like the one that just came out, the Sunday one.
Yes.
out rapping grown men. So I say it to say it's like you watch how Sexy Red just like is the archetype of that ratchet woman hip hop, and you watch how it makes women feel. Like I think we're in March, so it is a part of Women Empowerment Month. Yeah, men can be all types of men. You can be smart, you can get J. Cole, you could be intellectual with Kendrick, you could be eclectic with Andre 3000, you could be a trap nigga with Bossman D-Lo, you could be a refined trap nigga with Dirk and Baby. Women didn't have that. Women just had Little Kim for a little while. Then they had the Princess, which is Nicki. Yeah. Now they're getting a chance to be ratchet. Now they're getting a chance to be vulgar. Now they're getting a chance to just dance because they want to dance. Now they're getting a chance to just do everything they want to do, how women talk. Because that's how women talk too.
Got pretty girl rap too.
Pretty girl rap, scam rap. Now you can scam rap. You could be a pretty girl like Sweetie. You could be a anime girl like Megan or Koi. Like you could be
and you got like the no names too, like the more
or you could be more eclectic and you know whatever I read books and I do sage and shit like all that shit. You could do everything now. So I think that she deserves her own lane and she deserves her own everything because it's like women talk like that, women act like that, and it's needed. It's needed for hip hop itself. It's needed.
Because this is a boisterous sport, so I mean, I definitely understand. You do got to pop your shit, and that's what they talking about in their circle. So I do get it. Yeah. I mean, we talking about Brandon right now. Before we was off camera with it, I definitely want to touch on like that dirtball with his name and everything and his situation. Like,
okay, so one of my friends, Jade, does Dirtballs digital. She loves Dirtball. I met Dirtball.
He's hard. Dirtball is hard.
I just met Dirtball.
Name spelling is crazy to me.
I think I just said it. I met Dirtball 3 weeks ago in New York because he was just hanging out in New York. Taking meeting with Signal and everybody and doing some other like
crazy
platforms and stuff.
Okay.
It's really funny to like see who he is as an Atlanta person, like just as an Atlanta ass nigga. And then because there's no other way to explain him. But also I think that name comes from just like really all this like, and I hate to give him like the curator of this, but like that Playboy Cardi shit. Yeah. Like Cardi's like the curator of just like
different.
But like I don't even say different. Just that introspective of like being a rock and roller.
It's like grunge rap.
Yeah. And the only
the
person
punk rock shit we were talking about.
Yeah. And the only person that I think does it better than Cardi, and I will stand on this and die on this hill, is Uzi.
I wouldn't be mad at that because he puts out more music.
To me, honestly, I feel like he's every time Uzi is a whole ass character and is actually like really having a time, and it's like it's really like a rock show. And I feel like if we don't go because like we don't know what it's like, but like in the 80s with this Queen and with all these other like the
new age rock
stars, yeah, like that's how they were. Like you felt good at the time you went to the show, like you danced around, you had fun. That's how people feel like Uzi shows.
Yeah, I think Uzi, what makes him special is he embodies the theme of his album. Yeah, each like phase every time he's at. Like I think the Pink Tape, he going all out. Before that, like I definitely
going back to reinventing yourself.
Having
that diamond in your head is a whole.
It's like, crazy, and then I think, and I can't wait till y'all see like the new version of Uzi.
I'm excited
because it's really good. It's really interesting, and I think like hearing about it and like hearing some of the new stuff, I'm like, wow, like you're just good. But back to Dirtball, back to all these other like Baby Kia, all these other like we could say grunge rap.
I fuck with Baby Kia. You alright?
Some of the
wild,
playlists are called like sad rap or emo rap, which I think it really is. Yeah. And I think that like having Playboy Cardi be the front runner of it for Atlanta people, for Atlanta kids, like that's what it was for them. Like, of course, Thugs is like the forerunner. Thug is the grandfather now, which is crazy to say. Then having Playboy Cardi be the father of it, right? And it's just like, this is what I like. Like, I just like making sounds, and I like adding in sounds, and I like adding out this, and I don't want it to have a beat like this. I want it to sound techno, or I'm sad today. Then you also adding in an uncle like Juice WRLD occasionally, who just made like just crazy amount of music. Then a cousin like Double Extension, who just made a bunch of other emo music. You realize that like this is the product of all that. Yeah. And it's the forefront in Atlanta. Like Baby Kia, Drill, even Anti.
Ken Carson, Destroy.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Kid.
Yeah. Like
two things I never change.
Yeah, nah, literally.
Like, and the funniest thing is like, I always say this, like, so I work with a guy, shouts out to Tristan. Tristan played me Ken Carson's album front and back. Yep. And I'm rapping that song one day, and he's like, I don't understand that lyric. I'm like, bro, two things I've never changed. Like,
yeah, dead ass, right?
Like, that's the two. Like, come on, bro, think about the two things you never.
I think like with Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely, because obviously they work with like Southside and 808 Mafia, but like you can definitely hear the early Atlanta influence in that music, bro. But it's also that heavy rock star sound.
No facts.
Well, you know, not even to interrupt you, but you know, Destroy Lonely Pop
is I-20.
Yeah.
But I also think about it like they're two Atlanta kids. Same with 26. I mean, not 26. Drill.
Hey, Baby Drill, the morning.
Baby Drill, everybody. You think about it like this, and it's like you have to have Atlanta like groundwork, background. Like, so like the beats, every beat is like a hard beat. Yeah. But then when they start adding in like these other sounds, like these techno computer sounds, like, and I'm gonna say the Ken Carson song because I love that song. Like when you first hear that song, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, and it sounds like computers like going off in your head.
And we talking about Jennifer's Body too, by the way.
And I love that song because I'm like, this is crazy. But I said to say, you watch how there's still an Atlanta influence when it deals with like beats. And even with rhymes, because it's like literally Thug would just put anything on a track. Right. Like people don't know if it's hustlers or horses. Right. Yeah. To this day. No, they don't. God. To this day, they don't. Yeah. And either one, and the crazy part about it is that either word works in that phrase. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which shows you how versatile you really are.
Yeah. Bet we back. So shoot, from a digital marketing standpoint, you know what I'm saying, being a manager yourself and you understanding what it means to tell a story for an artist. Back to the four bets. Over mumbling, but back to the four bets story and how people look at him as an industry plant. Like, how would you tell? Like, what do you think of his storytelling himself in terms of how his marketing has been going from a digital side? Because I mean, I feel like that was his whole story, in my opinion. Like how the whole blow up was just a digital marketing genius plan. You know what I'm saying? So what would you say for that?
I love the fact that like prior to like four bets, there was like a really big trend that was going on where it was kids would like come to this mic, or kids would like act like they're doing a trap song, and then it'd be an anime song. Like they'd be like, this is how music's supposed to sound like, right? And they would act like they're about to rap some crazy song, but it'd be like the Naruto theme song or whatever, right? Which is what they kind of chose to do in the four bat situation, because when you look at the video initially, the Aze video, which is basically like kind of the music video for the beginning, you think this is like about to be this trap ass dude, bro. Like, and he's about to rap his ass off, like, cause it's him in the back. To be honest with you, I thought he was like from England, like.
Yeah, I did.
Because it was the way they dressed, like they all looked mad grunge, the mask, everything. I was like, oh, this like he went to England, like Aze went to England, and he had a time. So then to hear him sing, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Then I start thinking like, okay, who does he remind me of like audially? And it's kind of like a little bit of Brent, a little bit of just like it is really a Drake song. Like Drake would eat this up like as a sample, which eventually he just dropped the remix of it that came out, and it was cool.
Remix.
But I loved it because I think the best thing that they did as the marketing plan was the easiest organic thing was just like, how do people react towards it? And everybody reacted the same way. Like if you look at the influencer things, like all the TikTok is like people stitching it and being like, and they're just shook, and it's mad big creators just shook because it's like, yo, like that's really what it is. I think when it deals with digital and making campaigns, especially like with TikTok or with social media just in general, you have to make it really, if it's not going to be organic, look as organic as it would be. And the one thing that everyone thought about, no matter what happens, is like, whoa, I didn't think y'all was going to do this. And then they're like, that's the trend.
Right.
We not dancing to it. We not singing it over. We not duetting it in a weird way. We're going to do that. And I also think that they all figured out that everyone was like, bro, the song is actually good, which goes back to the first thing where it's like, if the music is good, that transcends a lot. Because there's a lot of people whose music is really good that we're like, bro, they're not good social media stars. Like, they just aren't. But we follow them because the music is good. Yeah. So I always say, like, think about that. Like, those are some of the pillars. Like, when it deals with digital, making a campaign that's organic to you, but, like, isn't a stretch. So it doesn't always have to be a dance. It doesn't always have to be somebody duetting it and singing. It can truly be, like, something else. Like, I think the biggest one that I'm seeing right now on TikTok is this girl, she's talking about Salisbury steak. She's like, I know you had steak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I seen that shit.
And it's so
like
crazy.
something.
It's so funny because it's like how many women are like redoing this sound. And now this like girl's like, I don't know, she maybe had like 50,000 creates. So don't be surprised if like labels start to talk to her and be like, yo, like, where's the next song? Like, is there a next song? Or is this like, or is this just a joke? Like, what is it, right? But I said to say it's like small things like that show that like it has to be organic every single time. And of course the music for her is like the sample of I Need Love by like LL Cool J song. So it's like, so it's so many things that are just like you already know that are already imprinted in your brain, which helps you out too. Like I think a lot of artists are sampling everything now. Like I love Cash Cobain because Cash Cobain is just having a time.
Cash Cobain is going crazy.
He's having
that new Fisher song is crazy.
But I love sexy. I love sexy drill because it's like the biggest thing for a lot of us. If you're from Atlanta, trap music, that everyone was like, bro, like trap music is dead. Like what's gonna happen next? And you're like, okay, cool. So the same thing's happening now with drill, and everyone's like, I hate drill. And I was like, okay, well now we're gonna be sexy. So you watch how this transcends and helps out the genre in itself, but also helps out your subculture genre, and just like you can build off of it. So now sexy drill is like cute and it's cool and it's fun and it's marketable because now Cash Cobain has a song with Pink Panthers and that's on Apple Music and that's on Apple commercials.
We just talked about that too. We were talking about drill music. Is it evolving or is it dying? Basically, in the sense of like, especially with a lot of trap and drill rappers like getting locked up for the stuff that they saying, and the same thing you were saying, like a lot of people don't really want to hear it because it's basically the same song, part 4, part 5, part 6 or whatever. So it's like, I definitely agree with you on that instance because it's like sexy drill, I feel like it's an evolution of the stance of what they're trying to get going in that aspect. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, as it's supposed to. So
she's so fire. But I think when it deals, if I had to, because I feel like y'all gonna probably ask me like any tips digital marketing wise, digitally. If you don't have a big budget, I would definitely say think about working and networking across from you. I'm just working with this artist now in Memphis, and I'm telling her the same thing. Like, yo, you have a big following, so you need to be DMing people and ask them to recreate your videos, recreate your songs, recreate this, and watch how that might trend too. Also, think about what organically happens when people listen to your song or when people hear your song or how people feel. That also helps as well. That way you can start a campaign or organic thing like that. And then I think lastly, be okay with like recreating, like redoing the song and the sound with TikTok or Instagram consistently. Don't just do it once. Don't just do it twice. Like you need to do at least like maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times until it might, because it might catch on the 10th time. It might catch on the 6th time. It might be the 2nd time, whatever. But keep doing it because it's like no one's gonna promote your music more than you.
Right. No, that's weird.
And also, how active, like as far as like algorithm wise, do you see like each platform like perform best? Like does an artist need to be on there every day? Every other day?
So Instagram is amazing because in your, and this is like real tea too. If you go to, I could do it like right on my, like literally how I'm thinking about it. So if Instagram's open up, you click the icon, you go to your profile, click the 3 dots. Or the 3 lines, there's a button that says Insights. You scroll and you change the time. You scroll all the way down to the bottom. Those insights tell you they can do day or you can do hourly of the day. So there's no reason why you don't post and get the most following.
Right.
Same with your stories. They can tell you your stories, some too. If you go to...
And it's telling you how active your followers are.
It tells you how active your followers are at certain times a day and certain days. So for example, with me, I know... Let me make sure I say this right. 3,000 of my followers are always active between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., which means that most times, like when we're working, I don't care about. It's middle of the day. I'm kind of tired. 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Most people, ironic enough, it's so funny. Most people in the South who are like trap artists, their biggest time is 12 p.m. because a lot of their fan bases are like at lunch, so they're scrolling. They're scrolling like shit, right? It's the same thing with TikTok. TikTok will also tell you your insights, and TikTok will also go even crazier where you can like spend money on ads right there in the app.
Yeah.
With Instagram, you have to go to Facebook and you got to go to Facebook Ad Manager. Then you have to make sure you have a Facebook Ad Manager together. Then you got to make sure you got a Facebook tied to the Instagram. Like by the time you go through the 20 steps or 10 steps, you're already upset. TikTok right there, you can put $5 in right now. You tell them, $5 for the week, and they'll disperse it how they want to disperse it. And you'll watch how that changes your whole insight and algorithm. Because I know some people who are putting in like $10, not a day, a week, and watching how that shoots them up with followers. And you can choose whether engagement, which is of course like just how we look at the videos and how frequently we see it. Do you want more views, or do you actually want more followers? Like you have all three of those choices. So there's no reason why people aren't doing that in different ways. The only thing that's like fluctuate that you really can't control is Twitter, but that's just because it's words. And like your best bet for Twitter is to tell everybody, same with YouTube, because y'all have YouTube too, is to tell everybody, yo, hey, this is our YouTube. Put it on my story. Go subscribe. Go follow. And they will go. Same with Twitter. They will go. Only thing with Twitter is you have to make sure that you're following like trendy people, and then you got to hope that one of those like tweets just pop off. Like there's a girl that I went to school with. She's like a few years older than me, and now she's like Twitter famous. So fun. Shouts out to Adia. She's like everything that she tweets just goes up. And at first I think a lot of people were following her because they thought she was like attractive, and then now they're like, yo, like she's actually like funny as fuck. So it's like, bro, that wins. So don't be afraid to hit them like those weird comments, and then watch how that goes up. Like I had a campaign go up for Izzy January 5th or January 6th because what did we do? He posted the Zonique video with him and Zonique, and everybody was like just ridiculous. Like, this man don't love you, Zonique, right? So then I told him to do the easiest thing ever, which I was like, quote this and say like, she's your Coretta. Tweet went up 20 million in like 12 hours. And I was like, yeah, see, like, it's simple. You just have to know what trends are going on. You have to talk about the trends. And you have to make that happen. There's a video on TikTok now that's going trending where Speedy's talking to Duke Dennis, and he's and Duke Dennis is giving you the whole tea about how to really go up on TikTok. And that shit is accurate as hell. Like, if you know something is trending, so for example, 2 weeks ago, Mia Copeland, which is the Tyler Perry movie, that should have been you should have been talking about that. 2 weeks prior to that, you should have been talking about Usher. Right. Next week, you're going to talk about whatever comes out, in between that. Like, there's always something trending. You just have to be able to talk about it, have your own little insight, and then one of those videos is going to go up. It doesn't have to be like the video you want, but it's like, just keep talking about whatever's trending. Because somebody has the same opinion as you. It's just they don't want to say it, so you might as well say it. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be on Twitter. It could be TikTok. That Duke Dennis video, bro, T. Like that. That is the T, bro. That man put the whole game out for y'all. Literally, he put out his marketing plan and Kai's marketing plan right there, and they do the same thing every time.
That is real.
That is exactly what he did.
Do you think it's better at this point to go up on Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram?
Okay.
I feel like Twitter a little bit, mainly because Twitter is more interactive.
Twitter is really cool because Twitter. Okay, so I always think about it. Twitter shows your real like your real followers and fans. So like, for example, I have 6,000 followers on Instagram. On my Twitter, I have like 2,000, 2,500. So that shows me that, like, bro, like, how many that 6,000? 2,500 are really giving a fuck, right? That's the people who bled over. Cool. Then TikTok, they might just bleed over because they like you or whatever, and then you're just trending. So like, a lot of people who have big followers on Instagram also probably have big followers on TikTok because they do something on TikTok and then they bleed over to your Instagram, right? Because they probably are looking for more content or they like the way you look,
right?
They're really shallow. So I think if you're an artist and you're trying to build an organic following, Instagram, Twitter, and don't be afraid to just post things on TikTok. If you're just trying to like get a hot one real quick, like just see what the fuck happens and test shit, TikTok. TikTok is where you test shit out. TikTok is where you test different sounds, where you might say, okay, I got a big song that might be 2 minutes. Maybe this hook might work. Maybe this bar might work. Maybe this line might work. Because there's sometimes where like, there's songs where like, it's a verse of the song, not the hook. And you're like, damn, that's the part that's going trending, not the verse. Like, it's sometimes where I don't even, like, Getting With Me is like one of the songs where it's like, wow, that's actually like the hook of the song. Cool. Right. But like the song that I just talked about with the girl who's Salisbury Steak, that's a verse. That's not a hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, real rap.
Or we could say, like, for example, with the City Girls, real ass bitch give a fuck about a nigga. That's a bar. That's not a hook. The hook is act up. But when you go on Twitter and you search we go on TikTok and search act up, all you're gonna see is girls say, real ass bitch give a fuck about a nigga. Mm-hmm. So you try it out. Yeah. But it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're one of those artists that's really trying to just like pop off real quick, because some just don't give a fuck. Just go to TikTok. Because TikTok, there's so many things on TikTok, but we have so many tools at a label that like I can tell you who's gonna trend or who's about to start trending next week. Like I could see it right then and there. And I'm like, okay, bet, come here, come talk to me. Instagram, you're building a fan base. Because I'm gonna see those comments. I'm gonna see those likes. I'm gonna see that engagement. Twitter, you're building a fan base and you're building it off of just like videos and you talking. So if you're not saying the right shit, stay away from Twitter.
So you think the real fans are from Twitter?
Real fans are definitely on Twitter and Instagram, easily.
Because those are the ones, I feel like, only reason I say that is because like those people have to like, being that Twitter is all words, they have to literally like take the time out to like write something back and engage with what you
and they have to, yeah, and they have to want to do it.
Yeah. So 100%, man. And I really thank you for being here at the podcast, man. This was a real good show.
Dropping real gems on here.
You know, this show is called The 50 Years Later, and being that it's a time capsule. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to ask you where you see yourself 50 years from now, so that when we got this 50 years from now, we could really have that. We documented it first.
Facts. Okay, 2 things in the next 50 years. So I'll be what, 77?
It really just more like as a
I know, but I think about it like, okay, at 77, on a personal side, of course, like a family and grandkids, great, amazing. On a label side, like have by now at 77, preferably like at least trying to run a label, at least have done it once, right. Or a big agency at least once, or having an artist that's like a legacy artist, and I'm like, that's my like back end stream of income. That's my passive way of income, and I'm chilling with that. Then also, I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to curate now, and I've been talking about it for like a long time, is a Morehouse School of Music Business.
Word.
That's tough.
I consistently stand on that because it's like there's so many kids, like I said earlier in this, who went to NYU, who now at USC, who are now at Michigan, who are now at Miami, and I can tell you all the music business programs, they're feeder schools for these labels.
Absolutely.
And the crazy part about it is that like 2 of the biggest feeder schools for also black labels are Morehouse and Spelman. Absolutely. Another one is Howard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the fact that now Howard has their own music business school.
Howard got one?
Howard has one. Howard had one. They just started last year.
And
Warner is like,
and
Warner is like the backer of that. It's now finding a label that's gonna like back that fully as a program, to where you have, you have to have like 30 classes to be, or I think you gotta have like 20 classes or 20 courses to be like an actual accredited degree.
Yeah.
And then you also got to think about it after the degree, where it's like, damn, okay, now they have these 20, they have to now go to a label.
Yeah, they gotta find jobs.
Or they gotta find jobs, because then it's gonna be like, bro, what the fuck was the point of this degree program? So, and it's not like Spelman where they can make their own degree.
It's almost like what Jay-Z's doing. What school is he doing that over there?
The Rock Nation.
He's doing that Rock, but he's doing it at Long Island University, so LIU. Ironically enough, one of the alum who's my class, Jordan Littlejohn goes there.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, that's how he got into the producing shit.
Facts.
Shout out Jordan Littlejohn.
Jordan.
We definitely need to have him on the show one day. That's
absolutely.
Facts.
Really, I think that's a really big like he's gonna be a really big producer in the next like 5 to 7 years.
Absolutely.
Or if not a producer, like I always tell him, like he could really be an A&R because he sees a lot of things that like
absolutely
we don't see at all, and he gets it. Like he just gets it. So but that's my biggest goal. Like besides, of course, having kids and everything, my biggest dream, biggest goal, Morehouse School of Music Business.
Oh, we gonna help you create that, my brother. We all gonna try
think
to
about that every day. So until we can find, I'll say real philanthropists who want to build this program, and then also staff, and then all these other things that come with an accredited program. Morehouse is gonna be just on the back end of music business, which is sad because there's so many Morehouse men who are doing amazing things in the industry, old and new, like Steven Victor, Henny the Business,
Thanks.
Kennard. Like those are real Morehouse men with Grammys.
Yeah. Facts.
Morton, PJ Morton.
Yeah, we really was chopping it up
It's
about
a lot
them
of
before.
what's bro that was managing Beyonce? Stephen Pam.
Oh, Stephen Pam. Yeah. Who else? There's one other person I'm thinking about. Damn.
But even if you want to go AUC though, you only have to
even
go
even
Morehouse,
AUC.
though.
But then I also think that like if Morehouse has a school of music business, that means the AUC does.
Yeah.
So that means now Clark can now cross register. Spelman can now cross register.
Facts.
Like it's not just gonna be a school of music business. I mean, our school of music business is gonna be a school of music business. It's great because once again, like there's so many other schools that have it, so many other PWIs that have it, and they're the feeder schools for these labels. And you wonder why sometimes at these labels, there's a bunch of people who do not look like us, working hip hop, working R&B, and black people work pop. Now we can work country music and pop music. Like now we can work any type of genre.
Yeah.
But because we're not getting the access that we deserve, and because we're not getting the knowledge we deserve, we're gonna still be in the back end instead of we should be in the forefront. Like there's labels. I'm telling you, when y'all actually take tours in New York and LA, you're gonna start going to these labels, and they're gonna be biggest hip hop labels. And some of these people are like, do not look like us, and do not understand the culture at all. They just happen to have this job, and they just feel that way. That's how they feel. I happen to have the job.
It's quite the shame too for the amount of niggas that really want the job.
It's
bro.
a lot.
It's so sad, bro. It's so sad.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like meeting some of the, I think I got blessed to be a manager, and then I'm probably gonna like take another role and be a director. Being blessed to one have black women to like pour into me and hire me shows me that okay, like they know who needs the job or who actually wants to do the job. And then now being able to because my last year at Alamo, I got to actually hire people. I'm like, bro, this dude don't even want the job. Why did we even hire them? Like we should have just hired the other person. And I'm not gonna say we should have hired the person that looked similar to me, but I'm like, yes, we should have just hired this person because this person actually advocatively cares about this, has good ideas, gives a fuck, like wants to be here every day. Like there's some people who want to be in this business and will never like don't want to get paid, like don't get paid right now, like but they'll be here every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until they get paid, and then once they get paid, they're like, oh, this shit cool, like I appreciate it. But I remember I told one of my bosses, I was like, and this is crazy to say now on camera. My first year at Alamo, I was like, I could do this job without getting paid. And she looked at me, she's like, don't ever say that. I'm like, I know, but like, I really could. Like, I fuck with it that much.
Yeah.
And I think that really woke her up to being like, oh, like he's here to stay in this industry, not just for like shits and giggles. Because I have some friends who are trying to get like, 100K before 30 and all these other milestones. And that shit great. Don't get me wrong. Get that shit. But we also, like I said in the beginning, we also got to remember that like, especially us as HBCU grads, our job is to tell black people's stories. I'm born and raised in Atlanta. You go up the street, you see what the fuck Atlanta really is. Like, our job is to tell their stories. Hip hop is telling their stories. That's what hip hop really is, truly. And it's also a time capsule.
Yeah, word. And that's what this is for, bro. Like to be able to get like black people to tell their stories about like how to get into the music industry, because I feel like in a lot of spaces, like for instance, having grandparents that are baby boomers and then Gen X or whatever, and they look at it because they don't have the social media, so a lot of stuff wasn't accessible. It's like if you knew somebody, you had a job. Otherwise, you wasn't getting.
it
at all.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't understand the lanes that niggas are opening up for themselves and what that actually looks like and takes every day. If that makes sense. Like a lot of the time, especially if it's not bringing in no money, they'll be like, damn, like, what are you really doing?
What are you really doing?
You know what I'm saying? So that's what this shit is for. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man, and we really appreciate you coming in here today, giving us this time and giving these people the gems and shit to talk about this.
For
shit.
sure, man.
Definitely, man. 50 years later, episode 8, Malcolm McKnight. Thanks, y'all. We out.